All right, good afternoon. So, like I said before, you're welcome to this class. So this will be starting point for us. And earlier before now, I asked the organizer and also to keep record of to create accounts, for people. And we don't just want people to just listen. You don't know it when you just listen to video. There are thousands of YouTube videos out there. But if you don't get into the practical to know it, you just realize it just becomes a head knowledge. And I can tell you within 1 week, have the head knowledge is gone. And it's not something you want to rely when you are doing interview. It's not something you want to rely on when you are applying for a job. And that's the reason why we make it a practical session and creating the account to make you be involved, and then you can actually participate and then do it yourself. And at the end of the day, during the course of interviews or you're trying to interact with people, you can easily get all that you needed, or you can easily answer the questions. If they're asking you questions, how do you create a user? You've done it before. If they're asking questions, how do you license? You've done it before. They're asking you, how do you troubleshoot? How do you check emails and all that? You've done it before. These are things that I expected you guys to know and be able to look into in terms of So I'm expecting that you should be able to practice with those, with what's your ID, basically. So that's why we have to create different accounts for you guys to be able to create that. So that's one point. The other one is that the videos will be recorded and then you can practice with it, at your own time. You can practice with it. A lot of you account have been created already. Please do make use of the account that have been created. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, should be seeing my screen. We just want to, our main area that our focus will be on M365, and then our also major focus would be the Exchange. M365 cover different workloads. Even though we are going to touch base with some other workloads, we have Exchange, we have SharePoint, we have Teams, we have quite a number of them. Of course, because of the importance of an exchange. Exchange is the email part. I mean, the email flow, the how emails communication in organizations are structured. It's been defined with the exchange. So an email is sent from one organization to another organization. How do you receive it? Did you receive it? How do you check if a ordinary user comes to you and say, "Oh, we're having problem, we couldn't receive email," and then how do you troubleshoot? How do you go and check? How do you confirm? These are questions these are things that you are going to be resolving too in the course of your design. I'm just giving you the background. Also, we are use Outlook. People say, oh, they have a problem with their Outlook. How do you resolve all those things? Then if we talk about SharePoint, we know what it is and all that. We also take a look at it. Now, these are different workloads, but like I said at the beginning, you're expected to have the coverage of all the workloads, and especially we'll put more attention on the exchange. On the introduction, I would say this, of course, is going to take us 3 weeks. The introduction and the classroom, of course, everyone is expected to mute your this thing. So the course of the training, and there will be a time when I'll pause and then ask so if you can make a note. If you have at some point, if I pause and ask for question, then you can then answer your question. So please, everybody need to mute while the class is going on. We don't want distractions, and also the fact that this is going to be recorded. So for clarity's sake, questions are welcomed. Now, in the course of this, like I mentioned, the course content. We'll be looking at several things. this Entra ID, admin center overview, the Exchange Online, like I told you. We'll also be looking at SharePoint, OneDrive, and then, of course, a little bit on overview on the Microsoft Power compliance. And then, of course, an overview on security for those who are going to be going to cybersecurity. And of course, team admin also, we are going to take a little bit of that. Now, we're all within that 3 weeks. So please, let's take it one after the other. On day one, I know that a lot of you may not be familiar with computing, and I just want to bring the idea very clear to us. Idea of computing, idea of computer computing, idea of cloud model. How do we compare the cloud services? Then how do we create license, either E5 license, creating tenants, and what's the idea of tenants? We're going to be talking about that. Now, let's start with the idea of cloud computing. A lot of people have heard about what it's cloud computing, or you have the idea of cloud. Oh, everything's in the cloud. Everything's in the cloud. Is it going to be the one on the sky? Definitely no. When you talk about connectivity, when you talk about you accessing the service remotely, now, if you are talking about you having a computer with you, and the computer you have with you right there, let me put it this way. I'm going to stop sharing, and I think I'm going to share the whole screen so that I can be able to even demonstrate somehow. Now, if you have a computer, you may not have idea, but let me just explain in a layman. If I have a computer with me, and I have another server with where I'm staying, another place, maybe within the same room, and then I connect to what called a crossover cable. Just don't just ignore the term. But I'm connecting a small computer with a big computer, and I'm accessing information from that big computer. That is not a cloud environment. Why? Because there's a wire, there's a media connectivity between two of them. What if I decided to use a different medium, let's say fiber optics? It's another connectivity. So it's also wired. Now, what about if that computer are separated and one is in a different place? Let's say for those in the United States, okay, I have a computer with me and I want to connect with another computer, maybe outside my state, and that computer is located outside my state. Now, that's where the concept of cloud computing comes in. Now, if that computer I want to connect to is a public computer, like people buy subscription to be able to connect it, that becomes something like what we call public subscription. If that computer that I want to connect with outside my state is something that is private, let's say it's an organization owns it, like people work from home these days and say, oh, Mr. Hey, you are in Los Angeles. Mr. B, you are in New York. Mr. C, you are in Atlanta. In that kind of scenario, and then we have our central server somewhere in, let's say, Sacramento. So what happened is that everybody connect to Sacramento, right? But the issue here is, how do we connect to Sacramento, to computer conduct Sacramento? And that's the idea of cloud. Now, in this scenario, the computer we are connecting to is, this concept is very, very key, and I need to emphasize my explanation. When we are connecting to Sacramento is a private server. It's not a public server. So even though it's a cloud computing, it's a cloud environment, however, we are connecting to a private environment. Even though we have an internet connection who allows us to log into that computer or to have a service outside where we are. So that's the idea of cloud computing. So it's majorly interconnectivity, and then it's not really the cloud in the sky that we see. That's one I want you to understand. That's the first part. Now, let me go to, so I'm trying to break it down for everybody to understand. So when it refers to cloud computing, it actually refers to a hosted service that is hosted somewhere, such as data storage, server, database, networking, software over the internet. Just as let's explain now. The data is stored on a physical server, which are maintained by a cloud service provider. Does that make sense? So a cloud service provider. Now, computer system resources, especially data storage and computing power, are available on demand without direct management by the user in the cloud. Now, again, there are different sides to it, which are also going to be explaining. Now, the idea of cloud computing is just interconnectivity, how computers are connected to another computer, and the resources on this physical server is being checked in another place. So at least at the very, this level, right? So I'm going to put it that way. So let's take a look at this architecture. You have a servers, virtual desktops, whatever it is they are in a particular location, whether it's a Microsoft location where you hire a space, you install your system, and it becomes a server. It doesn't matter. As long as I am somewhere in Atlanta or somebody's in New York and is accessing that cloud environment, it's a cloud environment. So, and then you could see that. So whether it's a server, whether it's a application, you are, just like you trying to access Google. Google is a service, like it's an application that is stored somewhere else. And then that application you are trying to type in, maybe you are typing information there, it's retrieving information for you. But some of you are in Atlanta, some of you are in Europe, some of you are in different parts of the world. You are accessing that same information in a particular server somewhere where you don't even know where it's being hosted. But they have a place somewhere, like a storage, and keep that machine there. And that machine, if they decided to that people will not have access to it, they just shut down the machine. And everybody globally will not be able to have access to that machine, will not have access to information. But they have lined up those machines in such a place that wherever you are logging in for, you'll be able to have access to that information. Even though you are doing you are on your mobile phone, you're on your laptop, whatever devices, your iPad, whichever devices you have, you're able to access that information. That's an example of an application that you are trying to access. And it's in a cloud environment. So, and of course, then we talk about computing. I just explained the major part of what we talked about. Yes, based on deployment, based on the way it's been arranged, based on the way it is being set up, deployment. We have what called private. I just told you that assuming you are a company. An example I gave in somebody in a server in Sacramento, we have somebody in New York, Atlanta, and then maybe California, and is trying to Los Angeles trying to access the server or try to access it. That's a private. But assuming that server, it is an offering, it's something that everybody knows that, oh, you are connecting to, let's say for instance Microsoft, or let's say for instance what's it called, let's say for instance AWS or Google Workspace. Those are public, even though they are private company owns. But these are companies who already told the public and said, oh, you can buy some portion of our server. And that is what called tenants. So I'm trying to explain to you now. So now that tenant is, you buy your own portion of tenants, which I believe some of you already created an account. So we take a portion of Microsoft tenant and said, oh, we are buying this and we are going to be paying you this every month. And so that's my tenant. So that becomes a public server. Now, Microsoft has several regions. They have those servers, several regions, set up several regions. And then what you do, you don't want to have your own private server because it's going to cost you a lot, to maintain, to hire engineer to maintain your server every month, to patch it every month, to keep it up and running. You don't want to do all that. So, and that in that case, what you do, you said, Microsoft, I want to have a private, I want to buy a portion of that, a small portion. I don't need too much. That small portion, Microsoft will say, okay, be paying this every month. That is public. The private is understandable. What if you decided to say, oh, I want to have my own. I also want to have private. I want to have the one from the public offerings. Then that becomes an hybrid. Does that make sense? So that becomes an hybrid. So then we have then the service based on models. Now it's based on deployment. The first one I explained based on deployment. What if we are talking about in terms of service that are offering this public environment? Now they have different offerings, and then even you yourself have different offerings. So I mean, in private too have different. But let's just focus on the public for now. Now the public will have infrastructure. The infrastructure will be more of call it infrastructure as service, platform as service, and then software as service. Let me start with software as service. That way we'll be able to understand it fully. The software service is a service that you get. You don't need to worry about the server. You don't need to worry about you are not doing anything other than you sign in and then you just put your data. You sign in, you just put your data. An example, you have Microsoft Word, you have this thing. And I'm going to explain this because they are quite two different of Microsoft Word and Microsoft Office. Back then, in those days, if some of you probably are old enough, I believe, and when you used to have say software, CD software that you put it, they call it Office, maybe Office 2010, Office 2012. I think they still have it in place before Office 365. They changed that this thing. They provided option that people can install. When you install it, you'll be getting the update from Microsoft. Now you install that one on your own system, on your own machine, on your own computer. Now when you do that installation on your computer, now what that is going to do for you is, now you don't need to sign in. You just need to put your key that you buy this software. And then when you put your key, then you begin to do your service. Everything is going to be resident in your own environment. Now, with what we have right now, we have another version of Office. That version of Office says that you don't need to have it on your system. You don't need to have as like a license, but you need to have as a subscription that you can be paying. So they now put a lot of things together. They put Microsoft Word, they put OneDrive, they put all those things. And I said, okay, you don't need to keep space on your own system. You don't need, everything you do can be online, your Microsoft Word, your Excel, everything. Now, the software itself, it's a server. It's connected to a server somewhere else. The Microsoft 365 software or Office 365 software is connected to the server somewhere. So everything you are doing online, automatically just save it. So let's say something happened to your system. Something happened. So the difference I'm going to explain to you now. If you have the one that you have it in your system, you install with your what's it called? You install with your license. If your system get lost, and then if whether it's connected to internet or not, if your system get lost, anything happens to me, you lose all your data. Now, if you connected to the world call Office 365 and your system is connected to the internet, or anytime you just use your system and it's connected to internet, automatically it will save your data from your local machine to a separate location called OneDrive or a system. So what it means typically is that as you are working on your system, it's saving automatically. As you're working on your system, it's saving automatically. I'm going to show you what that is. Not show you. I think I'm only sharing my distance. Let me stop a little. I'm going to share you. Um, yeah, I can use this one too. Right. I think I shared it entire screen. I didn't know that I was sharing the entire screen anyway. All right, so I was actually sharing the entire screen. Okay, so I'm going to, so I was actually sharing the entire screen initially. So let's take a look at this I'm showing you here. Now you see here is auto save, except I turn this one off. Automatically, if I'm making changes to this, automatically it just saves by itself, except I turn it off. Now that information is not available in if you install your system, because it's not, you are going to be able to save it. I remember back then when I was doing my project, and I've typed enough back in those days when I was in Nigeria, and I typed my project for I've spent a lot of time, but I did not save. Guess what? Everything was gone. It's like doing a whole day job when you don't have all the time and it's gone. But these days, I don't even need to think about it anymore. As long as I'm connected to the internet, everything just saves for me. So if they even steal my laptop, all I need to just have my ID. With my ID, the license connected to it, I can just log in anywhere in the world, and I'll get all my information back. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that interesting? That's what it's all about when it comes to you having a software as service. So it means that you only pay for subscription, and then you just bring your data and everything is saved for you. Now, what if I decided to say, you know what? I wanted to have a space, but I don't have all the time. I want to create an application, and these applications I want it to run on Ubuntu or Windows, but I just want to create an application. I just want to be able to use an application straight away. In that case, I will have what we call platform as service. An example of that is if you are trying to create an application, you just need a small container where you could just push your listen so that it can run on. So in that kind of, we call them like a serverless application. I just need to run something, maybe a runtime. You don't need to bother yourself about that. But I'm just throwing out the terms there. And you push the application on top of that application, and then you only pay for the time the application is running on that server. So they already have the server running. You just put your application on there and it started running. There are several applications like that is running on several disks. Now, that's one. Now, what if you want to be the one to determine what how big your server is, how big the volume of your server is, how many processor you want for your server, just like you're trying to couple a new system. You want to be the one to know whether the machine you are trying to use has to deal with this or this. In that case, then you are talking about infrastructure as service. Now, what Microsoft would do is that in case of Microsoft, in this case, you are using Microsoft would do is that you can also use Amazon, you can use Google, all of them have all the services, whichever way you want to go for, whichever service you want to go for, all of them have the services. But one good unique thing that you will see that is different from every other one, apart from Microsoft, is the fact that Microsoft has the software and all the things we are going to be considering, like Exchange and all that. It's only Microsoft that has a platform. You can have infrastructure in other places like Amazon and on Google. You can have a platform as service in other places like Google and Microsoft. But when it comes to software as service, every other person, whether you are hosting your server on Google, you are hosting your server on AWS, you will still come back to use Microsoft service. And that's why today you have a even if you are using Mac is not built by Microsoft, but you still use Word on Mac. You still use Word on there because that's the difference. It's a platform, but again, you can use that software on Mac, right? So whatever it is at all, and then you can check your Exchange. All those are cloud-based. They are HTTP based. So every other service you get, which we are going to be talking about, they are HTTP based, which means they are exposed, externally, and that you can get those services right away, which we're going to be talking about soon. So you've seen the different based on models and also based on deployments that has been explained. Very key for us to get the concept very well as a starting. And then, of course, based on the responsibility that I just explained, we talked about the identity signing in and your data as far as software as service is concerned. But in case of the in case of the one that has to do with the PAS, you bring your identity, you bring your data, you bring the application, and that's everything just runs straight away. Now, if it's infrastructure, then you don't only bring your identity where you sign in, your data, your application. You now decide your virtual networking, how you want your network to be. In this case, you can have thousands of applications of computers. And then for those who are going to be going to advanced class, we'll be dealing with virtual computing and all that we're already doing. For those who are already in the class, you have class one, class running. And then we have operating system, whether you want to have Ubuntu, you have for these, whatever, all these runtimes, and then you'll be doing that. So that's on different level of capability and what you can do, right? So I'll explain also that we have different different offerings. We have one from Azure, which is Microsoft. We have one from Google Space. We have one for AWS. Now, all of them has advantage and disadvantage in terms of the architectures, what they can actually serve. And then I did a little bit comparative advantage for different there, which is in terms of the market size. Amazon is taking the largest share of the market size because they have a lot of massive global network coverage and all that. Of course, you want to keep your distance in terms of, and then that's also based on infrastructure. Based on infrastructures, we have Microsoft who cover excellent integration systems and all that, but they have a lot of, in fact, they have the highest. The Microsoft guy running the code like this, but they have lots of customers in terms of M365. I think they have the highest number of customers in terms of M365. Now, the Google too, of course, these are areas they are best known for. Hybrid capabilities are areas they are best known for. General purpose class scaling, massive global network. Now, when it comes to strength, this one has this, and this one has this, and then when it comes to AI models and all that, oh my God, their platform is good for that AI this thing. So in terms of markets, these are there. In terms of weakness, so the file can be complex, vast number of services can be as a fewer services than this. So again, two different things, and there has a lower adoption rate compared to AWS this. So if you are going to be going to M365, of course we can stay on Microsoft. But by the time you are going into a very large network infrastructure, you'll be having network in different places, in different things, I would say you go for Azure. But at least we are starting with M365 to start with. So we can stay with maybe a little bit of this thing. By the time we are going into creating a large network, yes, remember that I told you that even when you create a server on, let's say you create a server on Amazon, maybe in terms of pricing, what do you think happens? You are still going to install Microsoft Server on it. You get, if you have a decent, because which means that the programs that be running on even Azure, you're still going to be Microsoft Server, right? So again, that's the advantage that Microsoft has. Those their applications, you can't take it away from them for the next years to come. Amazon, I'm not sure Amazon has gone to, I think Google's tried to do some low-level work by all these Google Docs. You can't see compared to Excel. You can't see compared. I mean, I'm talking about the level of the Office 365 Office offering. But when they even all come to managing the servers as to Teams, and no other person has it in terms of the communication. I think Google, I'm not sure who has other form of communication, but Amazon didn't have any form of communication. They just provide large networks where you can put all your servers and all that, and that's why they're having largest market share. And so some people would prefer to have Amazon and as their own network and install large servers there, Microsoft servers there, which is a gain for Microsoft because I have a service that can work on any platform anyway. So they still make their money. So if you have your server, Microsoft is not bothered. Just have your server anywhere. Whether you have it in your house or have it in Amazon, you have it in Google platform, it doesn't concern them. As long as you are paying them the license fee, you are not, you have any problem. And then if you have all those servers anywhere, as long as you are operating my this, whether you have your computer, every your computer in Google Cloud or you have your computer in Amazon Cloud, it doesn't care again. If you are going to use Word document in all your systems, Microsoft is still making its money anyway. So all of them will be relevant. I think whoever give that Microsoft, so they don't try to even monopolize their this thing. So again, that was a very good one. They even allow MacBook. They said now Mac Office 365 now, where you can download Office 365 there and you'll be running on your Mac. Again, anywhere you go, Microsoft is making its money. So just the last labs of this, which we are going to be working on, is just to give you a basic idea of how this interconnectivity works. And the key things, even though we are not going to be going to networking, but I need to give you a kind of a background of how things are connected. One of the first things that you will probably must have seen or you have heard about, because I'm taking this class as if you don't know anything about computer, and that's what we are trying to say. Now you have a key things, when it comes to networking. We have what we call public IP address. We have private IP address, and then there's something called DNS, domain name service. The public IP address is practically the way we can how do I know? The way computer networking sees all the computer globally is through a unique address. Uniquely, the global is through a unique address. Now, it's also very possible that when you create your own network and you don't even want anybody to see anything out in your network, then you can create your network with private IP address. So nobody is going to see it. But the moment, whether it's a website, whether it's a website that you created and you want everybody to be able to access it, what do you see? It's going to have a public IP address, right? It's going to have a public IP address. So the same way, if you are going to be using, if I want to check the public address of Google now, you can check the web address of Google. Now, what brings the two together? What brings the idea of typing a name? It's just like you. Can you imagine if you have 1,000 people on your phone contact, and then this 1,000 people, they have unique phone address. That phone address is only known to your provider, your service provider, whoever that is providing a phone service to you, whether it's AT&T or any of these publics that you have in. They only provide you a number. They didn't provide you the name of Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C. So now your phone, whoever make the phone device, allow that phone to be able to receive from network. So, and then what your own responsible do now is that you save that unique number that is, that belongs to other people. You save it with a name, with an address, or with a name, or Mr. B, Mr. A, Mr. C. And then you save it with that unique number. So whenever you are dialing Mr. A number, the network doesn't remember whether it's Mr. A or Mr. B. What that phone is doing the translation. The phone will do the translation by sending that number of that person through their network. So the network is only seeing, the network is not seeing Mr. A, Mr. B. They don't care about who is Mr. A is. It is you who save Mr. A as so number. But your phone is done necessarily to do the translation. Now, the same thing also, the DNS here is doing the translation. What DNS is doing is that it's an agent. It's a standard. I'll say it's an agent. It's also a standard that is running over the internet that helps in that translation. So that DNS helps you to, so whenever you type the name google.com on the web browser, what's going to happen behind the scene is that it's going to translate that to go and find, to what we call a search, to go and find, oh, what we call a domain name server. A domain name server said that, you know google.com. And the domain name server says, yes, I know the google.com. The IP address of google.com is this. Then you will now go and send the actual IP address to where that server is. Then you come back again and say, oh, google.com, the IP address of google.com is this one. Then now say, okay, this IP address in google.com belongs to a particular server located somewhere. And then you will now go there. So when you say google.com, you just pull up the information of google.com. But what has happened behind the scene is he has gone to check, who owns the IP address of google.com, public IP address of google.com. And then he has also gone to retrieve information from google.com that is tied to that google.com. And then you begin to search. As though the next time you are now making the search on google.com is picking information straight from that server, from wherever the location of google.com is. Does that make sense? So I just want to have that, understanding. Yes, we'll be doing a lot of engineering later on, try to do a next lookup to make a search and all that. But I believe we all have the idea of at least the basis. So so before I go into the classwork and also try to assess our accounts, do you have any question at this point? Questions so far? Any question? You can just use this in any question. So okay, so that's the first part. So I just need to also understand that. So now the next phase is, I know a lot of us already have created an account. If you have not created an account, I'm going to be showing you how to log into your account that is created for you. And then the account that is created for you basically will be an account you are going to use to practice. And then I'm going to be showing around our workspace so that by tomorrow, we know what we are going straight into. Just going to give you a heads up on that. By now, you must have, if you don't have your account created, please contact put it on this thing that, oh, you don't have any account, and then somebody else will respond to you. I think the program director will respond to you, and you'll be able to create an account for you, right? So please, it's very important because we want to make sure everybody's carried along, and then you'll be able to do it as it's been done. So I'm going to share my screen and be able to log in again. So far so good. I believe it's clear enough. If you have any questions, please do so. And so now we want to create so you have two options here, and I believe this is going to be a long journey. Since it's just so it's going to be a long journey for you to create. Yes, you can just go online, and then you want to create your own environment, which you have to put your credit cards and all that. So the way to do it, you can just, I'm going to send this link for anybody who wants to. Maybe you have you want to create an account on your own. You can do so. I encourage that, but again, I don't want anybody to go and sign in to something that they are not ready for, and that's why we are giving a free account for people who want to work. And then, so when you see that, oh, there's a real need, and then of course, I will tell you the real difference too as well between the two. So we have so on this, excuse me. So you can decide to have, you want to create an account, and then you just say there's something called free account. You say try for free. Yes, you go through this one. Per license is $38. And then you can do the free trial license here, which is okay. But that free trial license, make sure you say it's for 1 month, and then you make sure that it's free trial. So after that 1 month, you see you are not paying anything. But again, I don't want anybody to be charged, because at the end of the day, 1 year subscription, this is what you pay, blah, blah, blah. But right now, as I say, it's $0. So if I'm going to be creating an account now, I have to cancel by 4/13. Yes, it's very possible that you must have done with everything you want to do and you cancel. But if you don't know how to use it or how to cancel, you don't need to go through that stress. And that's why I decided to use our developer account for everyone, so that when you now feel that you're comfortable, you want to go and just search for it, free trial, 365 free trial, and then you want to create account, you can just follow the link and then you create account. And then you have many users and the license, for each of users. But now let's now go into our own account. Now you see here, I have a 3 dots here on my own system here. This is my incognito, whether it's an incognito or another, if it is this edge. So you can also go to that 3 line and use in private mode, in private window. If in private window will give you something like a bare metal, so you will not remember. So if you are in a different environment, and please don't do that in your office environment, you want to make sure that you keep the low profile. On your own system, you can do that so that you have a different environment, and then all you need to just say admin dot microsoft.com. That's all. Then admin.microsoft.com, it brings you to a place where you log in. So account that's created for you, you just put it in there and log in. So that's for this Edge, for those who are using Edge. For those who are using this thing, I think I already signed in. I'm going to sign out on this. Then I'm going to sign in again. Let me just sign out on this so that I can show you how you do that. And for those who are using this one, all you need to do is just admin. Then it gives you a place where you can put, this is my own ID, and then if it's not there, it will give you where, just like the other one, then all you need to just do sign in and then put your password. And then with your password, let me check, make sure you keep your password. So, and then signing. Then it set up an editing for me. If you are the first time, Mama, it's first timer, it takes you through that authentication route. If you don't have any problems, let us know. And then I sign in. And we have a couple of, so that's the first space we are all going to check. Please, it's an assignment that we need to be able to come in. And then what I'm going to do here is, you could see we have several people, no licenses, it's okay. You sign in and then you see myself, you see other users here. You just have your users. Later on, I will ask you to be able to create more users, your test users. Maybe you use your name, test 1, test 2 to create numbers of users. And then that way you can create as many users. So it's a test environment, it's a work environment, and it has several things we can do with it. So at the very instance, make sure you be able to log in. That's number one, secure your login so that by the time you are coming in and all that. So the classwork basically is for us to be able to log into our accounts. Either you are using this or you are using it. And I think can add to it. You can create at least about 5 users and then keep password to yourself. You have all those who are create an account. I'm going to show you in a minute how to create accounts. Account 5 users that belongs to you. Let each person create 5 users accounts. How do we go about and create 5 users? So then because you're already becoming an admin on day 1. So go to your this thing. The account created for you has privilege to create users. On where you have users, active users here, there are 2 places we can create users. Just say add user. I would say just add your name. Don't choose this one because we are working with this and we're using this one to practice with those in advanced class right now. So just choose your domain to be this. You can create users with your account. You can just if you want to say user 1, maybe your last name, it doesn't matter. If it is if let's say I'm using this one for myself, then display name user 1 ISA, whatever it is. Then I could just say u dot ayesa or whatever it is. Now I can say user one, whichever way I wanted to put it, dot this and this. Then it automatically create password. You should automatically create password for you. Yes, automatically create password. So you can have user one, user two, user three, create 5 users accounts. That's what I needed from you. Create 5 users account. That's your assignment. And then automatically create a password. If you want to create password by yourself, yes, you to create by that. You require the user to sign in when you create it. You don't need that. Just you can remove this one since it's going to be your own account. Now, automatically create a password. You know, you can create a password for you, or I can just say, I want to put my own password. So let me put my own password. So I just mean my password. I do not require password to check the login because now if you are creating an account, let's say you have a new onboarding in the company, they told you that we have several number of people who are coming, who just got onboarded, and we want you as an administrator, we want to create a user account for them. Of course, you ask for their name, their first name, their last name. There's a convention in which the organization already create an account for them, and that's why it will be useful. And then you don't need a license. In most cases, you can put a license right away. In such a thing, you will need this because when that user who they're going to give the password, initial password, temporary password for, is going to be logging in, what happens is that it will prompt that user to change the password. That's why this is needed. So just for you to be aware. So then in this case, it's asking me to put a license. So because I don't have a license, so I don't need to add this one. So just create user without license. So again, so you create all the user without license. So just create the user without license. That's what I'm interested in. And then you're good to go. So you already create the account for me and then finish adding, then you create an account. So it's that simple, right? So, and then I can see myself there. It is showing on license, but that's fine. So, but that's the first assignment. Does that make sense? Right. So this will be shared. Please make sure you like the Instagram page, YouTube account, and then make sure that you'll be able to. I'm going to be sending this to everyone as soon as I put it online so that you can check it and create your account before tomorrow. Does that make sense? So let everyone do that. So that's the assignment we have for today. I'm going to stop sharing. Any questions? Please do ask questions at this point. Question. Is it understood? Is it okay? Is it something you think? It's as simple as that. You see, the very first day you can create an account for companies, you're working with, those are, like I said, it's a very entry level job. You can do all that, without ease. You can operate because, you don't need to tell them, oh, I know how to do it. No, you should be able to do it yourself, right? So, and that's what we are preparing you for. I hope you are hearing me, right? So if you are following up, can you just either just say thumb up or just say the account? Yes, okay, yes, okay. I just need an acknowledgement that everybody's getting what we are. Okay, all right, okay. Thanks so much. So yeah, so good. So welcome. So we meet tomorrow. Again, we meet tomorrow. Please, as many you please, I want us to. So we're going to be having our quiz. We'll be having quiz from tomorrow. We'll be having a quiz. Please read through, practice, and I can tell you our quiz is usually maybe you start, we'll do a quiz and then we'll move on. We'll do a quiz and then we'll review all if you have issues in creating accounts, we'll resolve it right there. Right? So thank you so much, guys, for showing up. At least our first day, I think it's interesting. I believe so. So I'm going to send that to the link. Thank you. Have a nice day.